Hi guys, welcome back to another daily tarot card. These are your daily tarot cards for Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023. Today we're pulling from the Darkwood tarot cards. So we have the Hang person, and this is where like changing our perspective. And I feel like with the crimson red, it's like how we communicate with ourselves, or how we realize how spirit communicates with us, or how grounding ourselves. Like I tried to do a meditation last night before I went to bed. I was plucking energy that didn't belong with me. I transmuted it, and I sat there and I put it in like, loving life from my ancestors, from spirit. It's just like sitting there and grounding ourselves, and it's just like I feel like with like the Four of Wands that we see here, I feel like it's like, spirit is like saying like you're getting ready for this time of peace and harmony, a time of rest and rejuvenation. It's like if you're like myself, you get stir crazy during these times, and it's just like enjoy it. It's like sit there and realize like you work freaking hard. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with you taking time to rest, rejuvenate, recover, get all those, get everything back to where it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like we go through these, times in our life, and it's just like go, 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 go. You know what I mean? So I feel like spirit is just like, sit there, rest, rejuvenate, calm, you know, try to recuperate your energy. You know what I mean? Enjoy this time, you know? I feel like it's time of celebrations. Rosh Hashanah starts on Friday for us, and it's just like getting ready for that. It's getting ready for these beautiful times in life where it's just like, these are the holidays that I love, like Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. We have Sukkot, we have Hanukkah. So it's like getting ready for these celebrations. You know what I mean? Like the birthday months are our birthday celebrations. The summers of birthdays are almost over. My mom's is this week. So it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like, all of that's coming down. Things are changing. With the Hierophant, unlocking those keys. It's like they reminded me. It's like, remember on your vision board you wrote that you wanted to level up. I'm like, oh dang, I did, didn't I? I was like recording this for Instagram. I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, remember that image that you have on your vision board? I'm like, oh shoot. And I'm like, I can't really blame anyone but myself for. When they said that, I was like, oh dang, they're so shady, you know what I mean? It's unlocking that energy, you know what I mean? And it's like anyone I read for, especially my repeat people, like that are like a lot of people that are my repeat people that I read for have actually become friends. I'm lucky enough. And we talk in Kiki all the time, and it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like when you get those kind of, you know what I mean? Like that's where that's your passion. Like you're lucky to come across these energies and these people, and it's like sharing of knowledge, sharing of energy. You know what I mean? It's like, how everything has changed, and they can feel that, and they can see that, and you can feel it in the relationships, how things have changed. You know what I mean? We have the Magician. It's like, again, this is a major message with the owl. Like, we have that shadow, and it was like talking about that yesterday, balancing that shadow with the light. You know what I mean? It's like learning that, and I feel like it's like, sometimes when we purge things, it's really hard on us. You know what I mean? Because it's just like things that we thought what we wanted in our life, or it's just like, the truth of a situation, truth of relationships in our life. And it's just like, sometimes that truth is hard. You know what I mean? We were watching The Walking Dead, and it was like, my youngest, he was really young when we were watching it. He was never really into it. He would sit with us and watch with it. He was always scared of it. He didn't like it. He's like me. He doesn't really like horror. Well, now he does. I'm really still not a fan of it. But like really gore stuff, like Saw and all that stuff, no thanks. But he's watching it, and it's just like Morgan was telling Carol that he's like, do you really want to know what happened? You know what I mean? And it's just like, he asked her, and like he was furious because he was going through it. And she's just like, yes. And he's like, no, do you really want to know? Like, basically, can you handle it? You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, and that's what spirit is like. You really want to go through this? Do you really want to know the truth of the situation? And they show you those things, and you're just like, hot dang, like, you know what I mean? Like, there was a situation like that where it was just like, nope, couldn't do this because it'll affect these people. But now that it suits them, it's okay. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, you made that situation way more difficult on us than we really needed to, and it killed us. You know what I mean? And I'm like, now that it suits you, it's okay. And I'm just like, but when it was us, it was a situation. You know what I mean? So it's like, it really just shows you who people are. You know what I mean? So it's just like, keep inventory of that. Keep that in mind. I love with the Nine of Pentacles, this rebirth in our life. And I feel like this is with myself. And the only reason I say myself as an example, because I'm not sure what your rebirth was, right? So with my, like, even one person I've read for, they're like, I didn't realize how much I loved, like the full moon, or watching the moon, or watching the sunrises. And I even told her that like a while back. I'm like, this is not who you are. I'm like, you're used to this. You're used to that. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, you miss those things. That's where her heart is. That's where her soul is. It is more work, you know what I mean? Especially when, now that I'm in the situation that I am now, which is a blessing. I'm not going to complain. I like my life being full. But at the same time, it's just like, it's like I don't have the time or energy like I used to sit there and do these other things, because now I've taken on all these other two things. You know what I mean? So it's just like trying to find that balance, but also like, you know what I mean? Trying to find ways to like get my body moving again. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like where I'm recalibrating the situation. You know what I mean? Because the kids' school, you know what I mean? It's very full, but it's just like, okay, there's 2 days coming up here. I haven't decorated for Rosh Hashanah yet. It's like I could do that tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's just recalibrating, you know what I mean? Where I'm putting my time and energy into. And I feel like that's where you're seeing the Seven of Pentacles here. It's like where you're putting your time and energy into is where you're growing and thriving. You know what I mean? So I feel like you will continue to grow and thrive in these things, but I feel like Spirit is like, these things need some attention as well. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? So it's like where you know what I mean? It's just, it's easy to fall out of like a workout routine and stuff like that when you're like doing like yard work and everything all the time. You know what I mean? So it's just like with myself, recalibrating the situation, changing the situation. You know what I mean? So the next 2 days is a different time period. Oh, my kitty cat ears are poking holes in my pockets. It's just like, sitting there and changing things around. Seven of Pentacles, they were talking about someone doing a podcast with someone else. They're saying, don't see, like, I feel like someone is taking a hard front with this because they're like, oh, I'm not getting paid for it. But I'm like, well, you're not getting paid for it, but you're getting exposure, right? So it's like you're getting exposure to a new audience, and I feel like your story needs to be told and shared. And I feel like by you sitting there and doing that, a lot of people will resonate with that, and it will bring a wider audience to you. So I feel like it's like, don't look at it like, oh, I'm not, like, I'm doing this for nothing. I feel like there's a reason why they asked for you to share your story, because yours is a story to be told. You know what I mean? Some people are lucky enough as healers not to go through the trials and tribulations that others do. You know what I mean? Some of them come much easier to this, or they were, some people had teachers or whatnot, or they sat there and they sought these things out, like they were just drawn to it. You know what I mean? So I feel like in that way, I feel like it's just like, do it. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like, you know what I mean? It's positive exposure. You know what I mean? Just, I would ask, like, what questions are you going to ask? Like, you know what I mean? So that way you can prepare yourself. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to ask? What are we going to talk about? How long is it? You know what I mean? So I would, you know what I mean? Who's controlling the narrative of it? So you can see the final product before it's shown. So, I feel like it's told from your perspective, but I feel like in this rebirth, it's like realizing who you are. I feel like trusting, I don't feel like with myself, it's not trusting Spirit. I just feel like some of this stuff is so extreme. You know what I mean? For me, it was like hearing other people repeat what I've been told. You know what I mean? I'm just like, whoa, okay. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just like, it just was like, okay, you're able, you share it. You know what I mean? Because you're not the only one sharing this knowledge. It is common knowledge. You know what I mean? I just don't, some of it is really harsh to say. You know what I mean? It's just like, when it comes to like Prince William, like, warning him to change or get away from certain people because like, your demise and your children's demise where Prince Harry will end up taking the throne. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you need to move and, stick and move in different ways because, you know what I mean? People aren't, you have a lot of Diana in you. You look like a lot like Diana. You know, a lot of people want to see him ascend the throne. And people think by taking him out, you know, oh, well, then they'll be okay with that. It's like, no, they will demand for Harry to be on the throne. You know what I mean? Because they don't want this person tyrant on the throne. You know what I mean? It's like these old-fashioned people where they're taxing the living heck out of everybody. It's like we can't even afford to feed our kids. So we're working extra jobs to bring in that money so we don't have to sit there and go to the food bank like everybody else because people need it more than we do. So, you know, we look for our own solutions. But you keep taxing and taxing and tax. It's like, you know, people have had enough. Like, our fearless leader in Canada just went on a trip to New York and spent $61,000 on hotel stays, and we had to pay for it. It's like, and his entourage, you know what I mean? And I'm like, you know, we're sitting there, and it's just like, damn, you know, it was a hot, humid summer. You had to have the air conditioning on. It's even September. It's like the first week of September. We're going into the second week of September, and it's been humid. You know what I mean? It's like, where's the cool, fresh, you know, autumn air that should be coming in at this time? And it's been like, I'm used to like 28, but the nights would get cool. Like, you get out in the morning, it's cool. You know, we go play field hockey and there's dew on the grass, you know, and we would go and play, but it wasn't humid like this. Like, it's humid, you know? So it's just like, you know, where does that change in, you know what I mean? It's just, this world is in a crazy place. But I feel like that's why they're saying, like, this collaboration, it's like, do it because it will sit there and bring that story to light, and you will get a lot more followers for it. And I feel like you're a reader, so it's like you'll get a lot more readings from it as well. I feel like, you know what I mean? I feel like some hostility or resentment is the word they're using, why you don't want to do it, and I understand that, but I feel like, you know, do it because it's just like, you know, it's giving you that space, giving you that voice. So it's like, go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? I feel like you're interesting. I feel like that's why people want you to be on it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, if you feel comfortable with it, then do it. But I would definitely ask, like, you know, sit there and ask the questions. What are you going to be asking? You know what I mean? Like, what questions are you going to be asking? What are the topics? What, you know what I mean? And then you can sit there and prepare yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could sit there and practice answering these questions to yourself, to the mirror, and like how you would articulate those things. What are the, you know what I mean? So you can prepare yourself for it. You know what I mean? I don't feel like you're experienced, or they're saying well versed with like this kind of back and forth. So I don't know if it'll be on film. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they're gonna video it like a vlog. You know what I mean? So I definitely would look into it, you know? But make sure, you know what I mean? Like, so they're not sitting there. I feel like you feel like they're trying to set you up for something. You know what I mean? I feel like you could just say, like, you know, I don't feel comfortable asking that question, or it's just like, next question. You know what I mean? If you don't feel like answering things or sharing certain stories, you don't have to. You know what I mean? It's like you're not on trial here. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's supposed to be fun. But I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, they're saying a missed opportunity. So I feel like Spirit is urging you to do this. You know, I don't know who I'm speaking to here, but it's just like, I don't know why they have a contract. I would ask them if you could share it on your channel as well. You know what I mean? Be like, you know, like, I feel like you may have social media. So see if you can share it on your channel as well. Where it's just like, you know, I did this. Because it's a vlog, that's what I'm saying. Like, share it on yours. Because it's like your audience would want to see that too. And I feel like it's like they will get, it's kind of like getting to know you. You know what I mean? I don't feel like you've ever done anything like that. So definitely see where that takes you. I feel like it's going to be a good opportunity. I don't know if you're getting something for your birthday or if this is something like gifted to you. It's going on your left hand. It looks like a coffin ring. I feel like you're spooky like myself. So it may be someone's buying you a piece, like a coffin ring or something like that. I feel like it'll fit on your middle finger. It's very beautiful. It's very shiny. I think you'll like it. But they're saying love letter. They're using like very beautiful handwriting. Like a handwritten letter. They're saying sheer possibilities. It's just like be open to things. I love the fact that someone's actually, this is so cool. You know, like the old school where they pour the wax and they put their stamp on it? It's like that. Like someone really took the time, and I feel like that's where it appreciates you and really spoons your heart. This is very, oh my gosh, what is that movie called? Something in Azul. Oh my god. It was a really, James Franco was in it. Where he fell in love with this enchantress, and she ended up being the bride. I think she ended up marrying his, I don't know if it's his uncle or his brother, but he was in love with her. Tristan and Azul, that's what it is, because I wanted to name our son Tristan. This is when me and Shane were together, and I actually wrote out where she was reading him love stories when she was mending him. She was reading him love poems and stuff like that, and I sat there and I handwritten it all out, and I like took tea and I made it, and I stained it to make it look old, and I burnt the edges, you know what I mean, to give it that like old school feel, and then I framed it, and I still have it. I'm not going to ever get rid of that, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, we learned that in, I believe that was grade 5, like, you know, when we were learning medieval, and I made a church, and I made stained glass windows and everything, and some druggie was at our house, and he ended up crushing it. I was so upset, because I was ahead of the game, and then I had to go to school, and I was crying to my teacher, and I told him what happened. I'm like, I built the church, I said I was ahead, and this idiot came to the house, and he, like, because I had to, like, cut out, like, black duct tape to, like, make it look like stained glass. I put a lot of effort and time into it. Like, I was that type of person. Like, if I had a project, I would do it ahead of, like, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to put more energy into it. And he, like, I was so upset. I was just like, wow. And it's like, it's kind of like he purposely did it. You know what I mean? Like, the way that, you know what I mean? It was very, dramatic the way he fell. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, you know. But I remember, like, you know, it's kind of like that. Like, you know, the person put their time and energy into this, like, writing this, like, because the way that, like, the handwriting, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know if they have, like, a feather tip pen or anything like that, or a fountain pen, but it's like they put the time into it, and it's like they sat there and they, like, do the wax and the stamp on it, and it's like, you know what I mean? I feel like it really swoons your heart. I feel like they know your love language, you know what I mean? I think that's really sweet. I feel like when people know you, they know what to do. You know what I mean? It doesn't take, like, that's one thing I said about my son, like, you know what I mean? Like, he, like, sometimes spends money on people, but it's just like, he'll sit there and he's just like, oh, I know they like this, I know they like that, I'm going to make this, draw this for them. And it's not like a stick figure. This is something that takes hours and hours of his time and energy into this. And I'm like, I appreciate that more than something you have bought, because that is something that you put your time and you put a lot of thought and love and energy into that. So I appreciate that more than if you went to some store and bought me something. Like, that is something I will always cherish. You know what I mean? Any of their artwork, like, you know, because, you know, where I put their artwork and stuff, sometimes it falls down because the tape gets old. So I'll sit there and I'll just take the tape off and I'll put it in, like, books. And I'm like, you know, they'll do a new drawing, and I'll put up the new drawing, and they're like, where's the old ones? And I open the book, and they're like, oh, they're like, we thought you threw it out, and they could see them. They're all in the, like, they have a Where's Waldo book that they don't look at anymore. I put it in there. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just like that kind of stuff. Like, he's drawn me pictures of Sunny, you know, they're by my bed and stuff like that. He's drawn me The Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein together. So it's, you know what I mean? I'm like, I want to get that a tattoo on my leg. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, you know, that kind of stuff, it's like you can never, you know what I mean? Even if you try to replica a drawing, and I've done it myself, it's never the same. The first one's always the best one you will ever do, because that's like your vision at that time. You try to replicate it, it's never the same. You know, like, I've drawn things and I'm like, I've thrown them out. And I'm like, why did I throw them out? You know what I mean? It's like you put your time and energy into things. That's where that's what your energy was going into. That's you being creative, you know? So I feel like that podcast is a good idea. They're saying watch out for fake people. Yeah, there's going to be, that's what I feel like you feel like this is. Like, this is a setup, that it's just like they're bringing you there to humiliate you. I feel like that's why there's a hesitation there. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's like you can control the narrative, because it's just like, I feel like that's where there's a contract there. for some reason, you know. But it's just like I would stipulate in there, like, you get to see the final product or hear the final product before it's put out there. So you have, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have a say in the narrative. Like, they don't have full artistic control. Like, you have control of it as well. And if they're just like, no, like, you know, no holds bar, we can do whatever we want. You know what I mean? I feel like if you don't feel comfortable and you feel like this is just like a sabotage, then don't do it. You know what I mean? But I feel like Spirit is like, this is going to be like, you like, I feel like the right person will come around. You know what I mean? Like, they're not, so the right people will come to you and be like, yeah, absolutely. You know, like, we both have creative, you know, say here. You know what I mean? But it's just like, that's where I feel like it's like, give it time. I feel like they're saying 3 weeks. We're getting a lot of 3 weeks time for stuff. Like, they told us 13, 14, 15. They said October 26th. You know, they're saying November 4th, which is Shane's birthday. And you know what I mean? It's just like certain things are happening, you know? So I feel like, just be open to things. I feel like someone has like a Halloween special or Halloween vlog they're going to do. I guess you're a spooky person. I guess you're Halloween. But it's just like made fun of, a joke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't let your insecurities stand in the way of, you know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, the fact that they have a contract is, so I saw 2112 on there. So I'm going to look at what that means. But see what they're trying to do here. I don't know who this is for. But see what that contract says. You may have to get an entertainment lawyer to you know, if you don't understand all the verbiage or anything like that. I know someone I read for, he's a rapper. He has an entertainment lawyer. So it's just like, maybe going to them for advice, or, you know what I mean? Like, looking in your local area, like, can I just stop by so you can explain this to me? Like, you know, whatever this will cost you. You know what I mean? If they're like ridiculous, like, this is going to be $200. It's like, I'll just Google. You know what I mean? It's like, if you can take the time to Google it. But again, I don't feel like you're being paid. I feel, again, they're saying exposure. You know what I mean? So they're saying good exposure. You know what I mean? So I don't know if this is your insecurities popping up thinking that this is going to be malicious, or this is just like going to be like an attack on you. You know what I mean? Like, you do what you feel comfortable with doing. Like, you'll be in the comfort of your home. You know what I mean? But I would sit there and ask, like, ahead of time, what are the questions you're going to ask? You know what I mean? Like, you would, like, if they're like, oh, we're just going to be organic about it. Okay, we're going to be organic about it, but you know what I mean? We're being organic here, but what are the questions you're going to ask? What is this going to be about? Oh, about you. Okay, what are you going to ask about me? You know what I mean? If they're being really, like, you know, sketch about it, then don't even bother. Don't waste your time. You know what I mean? But if they're being, like, forefront with you, and it's just like, we're going to ask how it happened, how you came into this, da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, they have a vision of what they're going to talk about. You know what I mean? If they're being super sketch about it, then it's just like, you know what I mean? Then it's like, maybe your intuition, you know what I mean? Because, like, Spirit is saying follow your instincts. But I feel like this is where your insecurities come in. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just, you know, it's like, follow what you're saying, you know, put golden protectant around you, do meditation and stuff like that. But, you know, definitely, you know, I feel like there should be some sort of meetings about it before you actually go. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, what are we going to talk about? Like, you know, like maybe you're a return guest. It's like, well, what are we going to talk about? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about this time? Oh, we're not sure. It's going to be organic. Okay, well, what is it themed around? Like, you know, if it's a Halloween show, okay, what are we doing? Are we doing a seance? Because there could be things that you don't feel comfortable doing. Like, they're showing Ouija board. I don't feel comfortable around a Ouija board. So it's just like, you know, that's something I wouldn't want to be a part of. You know what I mean? So if you're not willing to share your artistic vision of what that's supposed to look like, then maybe that's someone I want to be around. You know what I mean? So just keep an eye on that. Make sure you have a say in it as well. I don't know who that's for. I know that just, you know, it's away from the cards, but I feel like it, you know, that's where Spirit was touching on it. So I just wanted to share that for whoever that is. So I hope you guys enjoyed these daily tarot cards for Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023. May the universe bless you good. We'll see you for the next daily tarot card. Bye.